Redick usually equals 2 or 3.
At the very least, shot. Kenny Grant up on the point, and once again the quick hands create the steal. The guy who made the steal pays it off at the other end. Sheldon Williams giving Duke their first double-digit lead. And they right now are truly bothering Davidson defensively.
Winters trying to do it by himself on that one, Scott. Passed up a couple of outlet passes and decided he's got to make something happen. You've got to calm down a little bit, play some D, get it within the process of the offense.
That foul call is going to go on DeMarcus Nelson. It's going to be his second. So that, of course, bears watching with 8:16 to go here in the first half.
And again, a sense of urgency on the part of Davidson. They're starting to see it slip away. Duke has adjusted. They wanted to play fast, but Duke says we can play half-court basketball as well. And they've created the open floor turnovers. The one thing, as I mentioned, that Davidson wants to stay away from, and they've been able to convert.
Wildcats just 3 out of 14 from the floor here in the first half. McKillop looked like he had a look, but Posh is closed pretty quickly. Now Johnson, nice move.
Well, that's another way to attack. Get it inside and let your big men work. As long as they don't fade away, they go to the basket, you've got a chance. We mentioned before, Sheldon Williams, a shot blocker, prone to go for a head fake now and then.
Zachary content to slow it down a little bit now for Duke as they try to run the offense. Ball has got caught in midair. Long range for Melchione, too strong. Blue Devils definitively not in the same kind of rhythm that they enjoyed here on Wednesday night. That's Winters wide open. And he makes him pay for another open look. He's got 5.
And what's happening is Martinez Potsus comes off the bench trying to give J.J. Redick a bit of a rest. He's got to guard Winters. Redick did a terrific job on him the time he was on the floor, but now Winters recognizes he's got a freshman on him.
And Davidson turning it up a little defensively now with Redick not on the floor.
There's the double once again. Williams might have gotten away with a little bit of a hook.
And he gets fouled on the inside.
And you know, I talked about that hook. That's got to be a point of emphasis right now. Too many guys trying to get in the paint by using their hands. But here again, in transition, this is how Duke has gotten its lead.
Scott Reese back in the studio. Sanford taking on number 6 Oklahoma, and it's J.R. Merritt's little lefty throw it up and good from about 18 feet, all tied up. And Stanford not faring well at home. The Anteaters of UC Irvine beat the Cardinals 79-63. Scott?
Well, there you go. Stanford going down. Here Duke with a 7-point lead, 6:44 to go in the half. And the Blue Devils get hit for another personal foul.
I'll tell you what, the defense of Davidson, you mentioned it before, that they've started to step it up a notch. Again, continually putting pressure down low, not allowing the ball to get down in there and double teaming when it does.
There's Winters off balance, but he has been money when he has taken a shot here tonight. 7 first half points, and all of a sudden Davidson back within 5.
And that's what I mentioned. When you shoot the 3 that well and you got an explosive scorer like Brendan Winters, if you can make a couple of stops and get some good looks down on the other end, it'll work.
And have a hard time stopping that kind of position inside for Sheldon Williams, who now has 8.
And that's good recognition by Duke. Davidson kind of called off the dogs inside, and Williams had a one-on-one situation. Duke exploited it right away.
Another backdoor cut. This time, Thomas Sander there to pay it off for Davidson. So they are reacting to the aggressive Duke defense by running the back door. And McRoberts high off the glass, the left-hander.
A little bit of savvy by the freshman. Bent his shoulder just enough to create room so he can get that shot off.
And the Duke lead back to 7. That's a forced shot that goes anyway for Ian Johnson.
Johnson wanted the foul. He obviously drew contact. But that's important, and for a lot of young people, just because you get hit doesn't mean that you don't follow through.
Reddick, a little too strong. And now an opportunity to cut further into the lead. They've got numbers coming back the other way. Winters can't get the bounce, and Melchione with the rebound. Got a tangle of bodies at the other end of the floor. They're playing 4-on-4 basketball. Now they're back.
Well, if you're going to let them play, then you let them play, but it's got to be consistent. You hope that throughout this game, the officials are going to allow all of those guys to bump unless it gets out of hand.
Under 5 to go in the first half. There's Melchione. And off from the top.
Melchione seems to be having trouble getting set, rushing his shot. Feet aren't set. When he was successful last year, he was able to get his feet under him, get him set, and get that good look.
And another turnover for Davidson on the bounce pass to the inside. They're 8th here in the first half. One of the reasons that Duke's lead is only 5 right now, though, is that a pretty good defense from Bob McKillop's team. And right now, Duke is just not shooting the ball well. Just 12 out of 27 here in the first half.
Well, what the defense is also doing is taking the ball out of the hands of the scorers. Occasionally, Williams will get a look. Reddick will get a look. But Melchione's had like 2 shots in the last 5 possessions. And when you got Reddick and Williams on the floor, that's not really the option you want to go to, at least not the first option.
Ian Johnson will take his seat. He's had a good first half, holding his own inside against the likes of Sheldon Williams. Now that job falls to Thomas Sander. He will have help. But Williams desperately calling for the ball inside. Paulus finds the open man. It's Reddick. Got it.
Penetrating kick. It's the name of the game for the Blue Devils. And Paulus, a nice job avoiding on the baseline and finding Reddick.
12 now for Reddick, and another backdoor cut, but this time Paulus gets a hand in the passing lane and knocks it over the end line.
Last 3-point shot. Watch Paulus avoid the charge right there, and the help comes down too far. I mean, Brendan Winters tried to help on the baseline. Reddick was his guy, and he's too late.
Meno can't get his shot to fall from in close. And Duke a chance to stretch it back to double digits again, but first a foul call. Kenny Grant running down the floor. Well, the ball back over to Duke when we come back. 3:54 to go in the first half. The number 1 Blue Devils by 8.
Scott Reese back in the studio. Coming up on the halftime report, we'll have all your highlights from rivalry week in college football, including Ohio State, Michigan, with a possible BCS bid on the line. Also Auburn, Alabama, and a stunner on the college hardcourt as Stanford trips up in its opener against UC Irvine. We'll see you at halftime.
Well, a big day of college football, and of course now college basketball as well. Number 1 team in the country, leading it by 8, under 4 minutes to go in the half. And Reddick can't get it to fall. The best free throw shooter in NCAA history will go to the line to shoot 2.
And that's the added dimension of his game. Really worked on it last year, and it demonstrated his versatility, the ability to put the ball on the floor. When he was a sophomore, everybody thought he was a catch and shoot guy. He now has gotten the respect of the defenses shooting the jump shots and could be able to put it on the floor with a head fake and get to the basket strong. And that's the first free throw for Duke. The other night against Seton Hall, they were on the line for 19, and the night before that against Boston University, 26 free throws.
Last year, you see the numbers. Free throw percentage. This guy is money at the free throw line. He's got 14 now. And Duke turning it up a notch now in the final 4 minutes of the half.
And that's characteristic of Duke. They make their runs in that last 5 minutes of the half and first 5 minutes of the second half.
And Richards rejected by Williams.
And those runs are always triggered by the defense.
Nice look from Paulus. And that's going to bring the foul on the trip to the free throw line for Sheldon Williams. Well, the freshman is beginning to show signs, though, of really finding the open man.
Well, you know, it's both a complicated but nevertheless simple system. Complicated because you got to be able to read your teammates and know where they're going to go. There are no real set plays out there. You and I discussed this before the game, at least not in transition. But the simplicity of it is once you've read your guys, it's all about screen and roll, give and go, looking for guys who are going to take their man back door. That's basic basketball.
After a little while, you learn, I would imagine, too, that you're looking for Sheldon Williams and J.J. Redick just about every time down the floor anyway.
Well, they're seniors. You know, they're going to demand it.
Well, demanding that ball inside paid off right there. 9 points now for Sheldon Williams and an 11-point edge for Duke.
And they got to train that young freshman well to keep their hands full.
And that was nearly a traveling violation.
Nice step out there by Melchione.
Morton wiggled out of it.
Well, look how bunched up Davidson is right now. Not good spacing. The middle is not open for any drives.
Winters forced one. Big offensive rebound for Sander. Now Morton. He's too strong. And the rebound for DeMarcus Nelson.
And here they come in transition.
It's a part of the game that he likes right there. Redick. A little jab step to find the opening to squeeze off the shot. He has got 16. And the Duke lead double digits. It's now a 13-point edge. And Bob McKillop going to have to use a timeout.
Well, his team, the tempo is starting to get away from him. His team was able to control tempo, even though Duke very successful in their half court. But in the end, Davidson has got to find a way to slow this game down.
A 13-point game, 2:40 to go. This 8-0 Duke run. Now, that's got to be a pretty familiar face to you, Len Elmore.
Absolutely. Brian Winters, one of my teammates in the NBA. We played against each other in high school. Power Memorial versus Archbishop Malloy. Brian was a great New York City high school player, two-time All-NBA player. So you know Brendan Winters, his skill is in his genes, not to mention the hard work he puts in. But Brian been a close friend, he and Julie, for a long time.
Brendan has had a pretty good half offensively when he's gotten touches, and there's one right here. And a take to the hoop. He's got 4 guys around him and hits the shot.
And you talk about his dad. I mean, that's the same intensity Brian played with, obviously the same work ethic. So you know he's going to be a terrific player, maybe even get a chance somewhere after Davidson.
And a blocking foul going to be called down along the baseline.
Again, Brendan recognizes that he's the man. He's got to now start putting pressure on the Duke defense. Right there, just a nice drive. Almost willed that one in. Quick move on the baseline. He's got to find more opportunities to create. He's the only guy really capable on the Davidson team of creating for himself and others.
Talking about one son of a former star. Here's Lee Melchione. His dad, Gary, was a 2-time Duke team captain and an All-ACC player. You played against him.
Yeah, played against Gary. He had one memorable game here at Duke. I think it was my junior year. He scored 37. I think it's the only time Duke beat Maryland during my time there, but it's a heck of a game. Didn't help that I got called for 5 goaltends. I just don't think they remembered or knew about shot blockers back then. I'll take the blame.
Well, that's good of you. 13-point game with 2 minutes to go in the half. That's going to be a reach-in foul. And it does go on. Melchione is first. And it's only their 6th team foul, so no shots yet for Davidson. They'll inbound.
Mike just barking at the official. You know, he's going to make sure that they're on their toes. If they miss one, he'll remind them. And if they call a bad one, he'll critique them. Putting it mildly.
I would imagine putting it very mildly. Once again, that's something that would have worked now, can pay great dividends sometime later on in the second half.
5 seconds. Ooh.
Very close to the violation. Jason Richards running the point now. There's Winters working on Melchione. Good quick first step to the hole. And the reverse lay-in for Winters, who now has 11.
And I think Davidson has found a bit of a combination right now with Melchione guarding Winters. They freed him up on the baseline twice now, bringing the low post guys up high and leaving that baseline free for Winters to drive.
Trying to play the 2-man game now. Redick. The soft flare to the baseline. Can't get it to fall. And the hands of the freshman, McRoberts, keep it alive. Quick penetration. No finesse right there. A straight power move from Sheldon Williams. He's got double figures.
And that's persistence on the penetrating kick. Didn't have it the first time. They tried it again and again until they finally got a good shot inside. Again, we talk about Brendan Winters. Look at Melchione, naked on the baseline. No help whatsoever until it's too late. Williams comes down from the top as he was drawn out top. And there's another penetration. not so much a kick, but a little dish. And Sheldon Williams eats it up.
That foul was Sean Dockery's second. And Jason Richards at the line. Hitting on the first. We'll have another try. Richards, sophomore out of Barrington, Illinois. Averaged just a little over 8 minutes per game last year. It already looks like he's going to be getting a lot more time this season. First 2 of the game for him. And Davidson back within 11 now as we hit the 1 minute mark left in the half. Williams, great position inside, and hanging on for dear life was Thomas Sander, who's going to get called for the foul.
Yeah, Sander grabbed the jersey in an effort to try to get around on the other side, but he's getting manhandled inside. That time, Williams had a forearm in Sanders' Adam's apple.
Sheldon Williams, shooting 2 for the Blue Devils.
And Williams the miss. We'll have one more try. Came into the game today as 8 out of 11 make that from the free throw line this season. You can see the 13 points. Last season, he not only averaged double figures in scoring, but also rebounding. First player under Mike Krzyzewski in Coach K's career to average a double-double for the season. Davidson trying for an answer.
But they've got to continue to look for winners. Once he gives it up, he's got to get himself in a position where he can get free and get it back. J.J. Redick on him now, so it's been a little more difficult for winners to get his shots.
There's Johnson. Nice move over the freshman. Once again, just does not get the friendly bounce from the rim. How about that semi-play from the freshman? Giving it up. The former football player lays out and gets the timeout to keep the possession.
You know, it's at the end of the half, 24.4 seconds. Duke probably will not need that timeout in a critical part of this game because it may not be a critical part. But right there, making the timeout call, you know, nice athletic move to have the presence of mind and the control of body to be able to do it. But normally, I wouldn't think that's a good play. I mean, again, you're up 12. It's at the half. But, you know, you want the possession. You may push it out one more time. Guys too often are in the habit of doing that, calling these timeouts when they don't need it.
Well, J.J. Redick has been a story here in the first half, as you would expect. That good shooting touch. And for Redick, got a quick start to the season in terms of getting shot attempts. He's already had 12 of them here in the first half. And 16 first half points.
Well, he knows how to get himself open. He uses the screen so well. And he also has now learned to use his dribble well. You know, he's not the quickest of foot, but he's sly. He understands how to get guys off balance, how to cut in front of defenders, cut defenders off, and get to the open spot. And then he elevates, and as sweet as he shoots, he's going to be successful more times than not.
Well, the shot clock turned off. An opportunity for Coach K to map out one play here to take you down to halftime.
Yeah, that timeout call by Paulus would have been, if it's a close game situation, you know, would have been a little difficult because you might need those timeouts in the second half. But right here, they just want to build on the lead. That's fine.
Redick found room to get it away and hit it right before the buzzer at halftime. From long range, J.J. Redick fires it home. He's got 19 in the first half.
Well, again, it comes down to just a three that J.J. Redick was waiting for. You knew all along he was going to get that opportunity.
And the Cameron Crazies get to celebrate the biggest lead of the game for Duke. They lead it by 15, 41-26 at halftime. Let's take it back to the studio now to Scott Reese.
All right, Scott Lynn, thank you so much. The Cameron Crazies enjoying their time. Welcome inside the halftime report, everybody. We'll have a lot of college basketball, including a stunner in Palo Alto. Also, today on the college gridiron. Hey, it's rivalry week. You got Ohio State, Michigan. You got Auburn, Alabama. And, boy, that Penn State game going on right now has ramifications for both of these two teams. We'll let you know what's happening on the flip side.
ESPN2's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Honda. Introducing the half-ton Ridgeline. Above all, it's a Honda. And PlayStation 2. Live in your world, play in ours.
Sheldon Williams leading the charge for the Dukies with a dozen in the first half. J.J. Redick with 19, and it's 41-26 at the break. Hi, everyone. Scott Reese with you on the halftime report. Much more college basketball to come momentarily, but we begin with college football, one of the best days of the season. Ohio State, Michigan. This could have BCS ramifications depending on what happened later with Penn State. First quarter, Troy Smith, he calls his own number. The quarterback draw is good. 6-0 Buckeyes. Extra point, no good. Second quarter, it's now 9-0. And look at the touch. Chad Henne, fade route to Jason Avant. It's 9-7 Ohio State. Third quarter, now 12-7, and Smith gets drilled by Lamar Woodley. Pigskin is on the turf. Michigan recovers, leads to a field goal to make it 12-10, maize and blue. Third quarter now, Michigan on the doorstep, and they cash in with Kevin Grady. 2-point conversion. Yes, sir, it's 18-12. Now 21-12 in the fourth, and Smith going airward, 26 yards to Santonio Holmes. Smith threw for an even 300, and Michigan leads by only 2 after the PAT. Ohio State again with the ball. Final minute. And again, Smith, Holmes, that's a first down in field goal range. Next play, not settling for field goal range, looking for more.
From long range, he's got 5. And McRoberts gets involved in the block party.
Well, if you're going to take the ball to the basket, there are times you're going to get it blocked. And right there, Jason Richards not backing down, but McRoberts, you didn't know he had that kind of skill. Ability to protect the lane.
11 blocks for Duke on the night, and Nelson getting the grab. Also going to get the reach-in foul on Matt McKillop. And they'll walk it back the other way with just under 4.5 left.
And you know, Scott, the effort now that Davidson is demonstrating and taking the ball to the basket might have better served them in the first half to establish the fact that they're attacking the glass off the dribble when Duke was really extending their defense. They might get some calls in the second half had they done that.
Well, Bob McKillop has had a lot of success in his career. We told you earlier, the all-time winningest coach at Davidson. And a lot of it has to do with the meticulous preparation that his team does for a season and for an individual opponent. And it also has to do with hustle.
Well, Bob is a student of the game, obviously, and Davidson, fine academic institution. Those are student athletes out there. You know, he gets their attention, no question about it, and they've got high basketball IQ.
On the outside, Johnson, a little bit too strong. And that ball belongs to Duke. Once again, the hustle from the freshman, Greg Paulus.
That time he didn't need to call timeout like he did in the first half. And going back to that, it turned out to translate into 3 points, and didn't matter because he had to call it or they would have lost that timeout. As you mentioned so aptly, use it or lose it. So it wasn't such a bad play, but I still maintain that when guys do that down the stretch, the possession is not nearly as important as the timeout in a close game situation. I just don't like to have it.
Shot clock winding down. Melchione's out of time. Got it up and on the rim to beat the violation, but couldn't get it to fall. 3.5 left to go. That's McKillop. Found the spot. Can't hit the 3.
And, you know, here's the value, again, of having a freshman run the show like Paulus right now, having McRoberts out there, even in a blowout situation. You know, they're getting to understand their teammates. They're still playing against competition, and the effort that Davidson's showing, you know, it's the same effort you're going to get night in, night out in the ACC, maybe a higher skill level. But this is the beginning of it.
Redick, good ball fake to create some space and drain the shot. He's got 29.
And for J.J. Redick, it's just shooting practice.
.240 left to go. Leaning in, Winters. He had a big first half, has been frustrated offensively in the second. And now a timeout being called by Davidson with 2:35 left to go. Duke right now on top by 22. The timeout, Davidson, with just 1 left. And Duke hanging on to what looks like their 3rd win. So a big week for Duke. Looking in the rearview mirror. And I'll tell you what, it's a big week of college basketball coming. In fact, it's a must for college Duke fans.
They're not going to get a shot away. And here they come. kidding? What emotion! Game over. This for the game. Yes!
7 of the top 10 ranked teams on Feast Week. 27 games this week, and it gets started on Monday. West Virginia, Texas, Kentucky, Iowa, Guardians Classic, part of Feast Week. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. And, of course, the Maui Invitational, Arizona, Kansas, Arkansas, Connecticut. And there is so much basketball coming over this week. Why it's called Feast Week.
Well, I'll tell you, it's the first time maybe in a couple of years that I'm not working, so I guess I'm going to be sitting and watching. It's going to be tremendous. Again, the matchups will tell an awful lot about the teams, particularly the top 10 teams, who they are, who's good, and who needs work.
Honestly, some Thanksgiving leftovers and some college basketball is a great combination.
I'll be right on it.
They're still chanting, "Let's go Devils" here, the Cameron Crazies. Going to be happy with the final score of this ball game. And once again, it's a matter of taking steps forward for the younger players as they get brought into the fold by the seniors.
And again, you talk about being able to work on yourself. Duke in kind of a delay situation, milk some time off the clock. Again, it's all about execution and also about mercy. And still, they hit the three.
Paulus has hit a pair of those. He's got 6 on the night. He is a very good-looking freshman. And you would think that he's going to have a big part in running this offense as this year goes on.
But right now, he's got the luxury of Sean Dockery out on the floor who can run the offense. Paulus is skilled also at putting the ball in the basket, and he is the 2 guard out on this floor right now.
And they call a timeout now just to get Redick out of the ball game. And an ovation for Redick as he puts up 29 on the night. And another strong night for the reigning National Player of the Year, and he's going to be a candidate for that honor again.
Yeah, he certainly is. Again, I mean, it's been about his consistency as well. 29 tonight. You know, you expected him to have a reasonably good game, again, because of who they were playing. And Davidson, not to take anything away from them, Southern Conference is not the ACC. But J.J. Redick is consistent in that when he plays the top 3 teams, you know, he still is capable of putting these same numbers up.
Ball is running in now. And with shot clock under 10, dogs are called off. You're not running the ball, but you're trying to execute here as the shot clock winds down. And they do. Good ball movement. The extra pass to Melchione, who's got 13.
Well, the shots are falling easy from beyond the arc. As I mentioned, it's now become shooting practice.
Under a minute left to go. Blue Devils, who have flexed their muscle all week long here at home at Cameron, who said now we'll take off for Madison Square Garden in the next round of the preseason NIT tip-off. So a timeout on the floor with 44 seconds left to go. Duke comfortably in front of Davidson. .44 left to go. The chant from the Cameron Crazies moments ago was drive home safely. They feel pretty confident and happy with the outcome of this ball game as Duke is about to go to 3-0 to begin the season. We said Davidson with home games against UMass and St. Joe's, a road game against Charlotte, will take a trip through the Atlantic 10 with their upcoming games. Don't forget, Davidson is a team that is picked to be right there once again in the Southern Conference. In fact, picked once again to win their division going into the year.
And as you mentioned, Duke with a trip to Madison Square Garden to play Drexel. They seem sharp enough right now to be able to cut down the nets in the NIT tip-off.
Well, they've already done it twice. They'll be looking for their third. Melchione buries a long-range jumper. The only thing in doubt right now is what the final score will be. And on the putback from the freshman, it wouldn't go. So it's going to look like this team dominated perhaps more than they did, but Mike Krzyzewski's squad wins it by 29 tonight. Their 19th straight against the Davidson Wildcats. Our final score, number 1 Duke 84 and Davidson 55. For Len Elmore and our entire crew, this is Scott Graham. Stay tuned. College Game Day Scoreboard is coming up next. This has been a presentation of ESPN2, the worldwide leader in sports.